Hey folks, this is the Comic Cowboy and welcome to my last broadcast of the year, and I hope you have a safe and fun New Year's with you and yours. I'm going to get right into it. A really fascinating topic, something that I've really focused on, as a lot of collectors have over the last number of years, is a website called GPAnalysis, or otherwise known as GPA. It is sort of the guide online with respect to finding out sales data of any particular book at a grade, whether that is 2018, 2017, 2019. You get a lot of data like basically 90-day price averages, 12-month price averages, and you hear quite often in the trade and in the hobby folks talking about books that are selling at GPA, it's below GPA. Quite often you see books selling above GPA. What the hell does that mean? You know, it's simply data. That's the first thing I'll say, is the more data you have, it just simply helps you make an informed decision. However, I will also state that it's a bit of a misnomer, and I see this quite often in books that are being sold privately or on destinations such as eBay, this idea that below GPA is a deal. You know, anything sold below GPA is some sort of rare opportunity to pick up a book at a discount. That would be true if all you saw was the arrow going up, right? Some sort of hockey stick growth curve, right? Similar to what we've seen in, let's say, the NASDAQ over the last 10 years. It's sort of a fundamental thesis that books simply appreciate in value, plain and simple, no matter the book. And if you're buying below GPA, well, God bless it, get on in and pick up that title. Not necessarily the case. And when GPA updated their software, which they did I think fairly recently, they showed these graphs. So you could see, much like a stock, how in grade a book is trending over time and how it's moving. And I printed up a bit of it today because as you may know, I don't edit these videos. It's just one thrust right down the slide, in and out. And I've got some of the material here. I'm going to talk specifically about GPA with respect to a book I have, which is in the Silver Age, and it's a key because it's really interesting, at least from my perspective, to see what GPA does with keys and how that can inform you in terms of making a decision of whether or not you're buying a book at the right price, particularly if it's buy it now on eBay or maybe off the CGC boards or at a show or privately through a dealer or through Instagram. There's a lot of books moving back and forth on Instagram. I'm relatively new to that. So here we have today a really kick-ass key. It's Fantastic Four 1 in 3.5 off-white pages that I bought privately off a dealer. I think I got a pretty good price on it. And for a 3.5, as I get out of the seat here and give you a real nice gander at the book here, the glare's bouncing off it like firecrackers, but I think you can see the book here in hand. It's got a little bit of a fade across the colors here. Not too bad, but for a 3.5, I really wanted to find an example that didn't have any really major defects. Tape on cover, significant tears. I don't think the book could be pressed to a 4.0. Potentially, you can see here that where the page and the cover is slightly misaligned. A nice press may remedy that. And particularly when you're talking keys, it really moves the prices along. So today, we're talking about this loaf of bread with respect to GPA. Again, it's this really fascinating tool. And the caveat for this video is I am no expert on GPA. I am simply giving you my point of view, and I would welcome you into the conversation on social media where I post this stuff, or if you want to leave something in the comments on the YouTube site itself, by all means, because it's fascinating. It's simply data, right? This is the Kelly Blue Book of comic books. And one of the fascinating things about it, it indexes a lot of the major auction sites, Heritage, Comic Connect, eBay, Hakes, pedigree, on and on and on and on. I think there's over 50 places where they aggregate the data, with the exception of Comic Link. So Comic Link, despite being a partner and a sponsor of GPAnalysis, you go to their website and they list about 12 sponsors. Comic Link is there. They do not report into GPA, as far as I know. That's always been the case. Maybe that's changing going forward. There's plenty of heated discussions about why they don't report, why are they not participating. It's a little bit tough because there's 3 major auction sites. That's it. They're the kings of the hill. Comic Connect / Metropolis, Heritage, and Comic Link. eBay is not really, in my estimate, a classic auction house, but of course, they're in the conversation. They're there. Comic Link doesn't report. If Comic Link reported into GPA, we may see a massive difference in the data. It's not pulling that data. That's fascinating. Nevertheless, any data that you can find is good data. So let's hop on into the conversation and get to some of the fascinating nuances when you've got this data at your fingertips, right? So in 3.5, I looked it up and I printed up the graphs for you. You might not be able to see it that well of exactly kind of what we're dealing with here. Oh, Lordy. You can't really see it well. It looks a bit whitewashed. Nevertheless, I'll just walk you through it. The last sale, according to GPA, was $8,400. You don't know what that book was with respect to the page quality. Did it have marble chipping? Were there other significant defects? Was there tape on the cover? Although with FF1, I don't think the marble chipping is that big of an issue like AF15, or you may see it on Amazing Spider-Man 1. You don't see it on X-Men 1 as far as I'm concerned. We don't know a lot about that particular book that sold from what looks to be quite a bit lower than the 90-day moving average, which GPA tells us is $10,194. So $10,000 over the last 90 days that book has been selling for, and then lo and behold, this past December, actually this month, it sold for $8,400 at a bit of a discount. So that is really interesting information. You gotta be careful how you think about purchasing this book, because that may or may not be an outlier. You could go to Heritage and you can look to see if the $8,400 copy sold on Heritage. You can look in completed sales on eBay, although I highly doubt on eBay you would find this book in this shape at 3.5 selling for $8,400. Also, the 12-month moving average of the book is $10,271. So over the course of the whole entire last year, this book, Fantastic Four 1 in 3.5, is a pretty steady investment at 10 grand. That's really going to be your price point for the book. Going back into, this is really interesting. Also, this information's in GPA. In 2018, the book was $9,440, so almost $9,500. That's really nice, slow, incremental growth. And in 2017, the book was $4,800. So if you bought the Fantastic Four in 2017 and you got it for $4,800, that's a great pickup. And that doesn't necessarily reflect a whole industry shift of what other keys did from 2017 to 2018 to 2019. They may not have moved that dramatically. That's a 2x bump in price. And there's all kinds of theories of why that might be the case. I'm not going to opine on them. I think it probably has something to do with the fact that collectors and investors believe this property will finally be handled well in the movies with Disney. It will be rebooted and it will be successful. There's been nothing but, back to Roger Corman, bad Fantastic Four movies. I think that would actually be a great like drive-in marathon. It's just all the Fantastic Four movies. I think it's shit, sort of interesting, shit, is what you see with those films. but it's still like such a seminal book. It's such a beautiful book. It introduces a beloved franchise, and the material, the writing, the characters is really first rate. So the movies doesn't really reflect the quality of what this book is. So interesting data. The book's gone 2x in price from 2017 to today, and then we see an outlier sale at $8,400. So what does that mean if you want to enter the market and buy a Fantastic Four at 3.5, considered low, I guess low grade? Well, let's take a look. You can also click on GPA, a button that says live. It'll take you to destinations that are currently offering the book and buy it now, maybe on eBay, or it'll also take you over to Heritage where the book's being sold, or maybe to Comic Connect, etc. So what do you do then when you see the book offered today in 3.0 off a site for $12,500? So the book's being offered in lower condition at a price significantly higher than the books ever sold for in grade, okay, today. So you get up this morning, you got $12,000, you want to get into Fantastic Four 1, that's what it's going to cost you if you want to have the book tomorrow, right? Or you could hedge, which I advise you to do, is hedge and wait for the book to come at auction in lower grade, whether that's 2.0 to 2.5, and see if you could get the book less expensively. Look at the census on also, which you can move through on GPAnalysis, takes you to CGC. You can see the numbers. It's somewhat plentiful. Like, you can get this book. So again, if you need to have it right now and you've got some FOMO, here's another site. This is live stuff. I'm not going to share where it's sold from because everyone's got the right to sell the book at whatever price they are inclined to do so. And God love them for doing that. But here it is also today, offered in 3.0 condition for $13,750. So you can buy it for just over 12 grand, you can buy it over 13 grand, or you can sit at home and puzzle and wonder, why did the book sell for $8,400 in December? I don't know. I would do the research. That's all this is telling me. I think the book has got legs at 10 grand. I think the book's got legs in this condition at $10.50. I think for the right example, at $11,000, that book is steady. It's just such a seminal, important key for Marvel and for all of Silver Age collecting. You can almost do no wrong. I like the book tremendously. The next thing I would do when you're sampling all this data is, if you're in the market for purchasing a sort of a seminal key and you want to be informed by looking at the data, look at how the book is selling in other grades, because there is tremendous variance. Just because of the activity of the book in lower grade at 2.0 and 3.5 has a curve and some ups and downs and some peaks and valleys in condition and prices, so do the other grades, and they don't also move necessarily in kind, right? There may be different price appreciations for books in mid and higher grade depending on how hard it is to obtain that book. For example, this book in 5.0, which is really spectacular shape for a book of this magnitude and this significance, it sold in the same month, December, as we saw the outlier copy sell for, at $21,500. So $21,000. It's a lot of money and just a bit across. And then if you look at the 12-month moving average in 5.0, $18,550. So it sold above the 12-month moving average, right? And the book, God, oh man, look at this. 2017, the book sold for, on average, $8,200. Several years ago, you could have bought this book and conceivably sold it, but that does not mean, as far as I'm concerned and what I've seen, that if you buy the book today in 5.0 condition and you are the buyer at $21,000, that you can, in 3 years, sell the book for $40,000. That may not happen. There's been some keys that I purchased, Amazing Spider-Man #1, Hulk 181, that have bobbed and weaved in price a little bit recently. The only key, I guess, if I was supposed to think a bit across the whole landscape, was X-Men 1, and also Giant Size X-Men, has moved very nicely up and up and up and up and up the hill. How much more does it have to go? I don't know. So the point being, when you purchase books of this stature, GPA is going to give you information. And I think, if anything, there's a couple takeaways with respect to what this could mean towards the industry. I'd love to hear your perspective, because again, I'm not an expert in this stuff. All I have is the same data that other registered users of GPAnalysis have at their fingertips. I've got no secret sauce to this stuff. I just look at price points, and I don't typically want to pay the highest GPA price, if at all possible. I don't want to set the highest GPA. If I bought those books in 3.0 today, it would go immediately to the website, it would register, and I think collectors go, wow, this book is popping, right? Some dude bought the book at a significantly higher price than it sold over the last 12 months or the last 18 months. If you don't have this information available and you're spending this kind of money, boy, you're going to put yourself in a really bad spot because you may be overpaying for the book. I think the best way to approach this, just in my estimation, know the data. Know the grade that you think you'd like to get the book in. Have some idea of whether that's lower grade or mid-grade, or maybe you get the budget for high grade. Have at the ready the GPAnalysis data. Survey it. See where the book is trending over time. Look for the graphs and the peaks and the valleys of where the book has sold, and don't try to get too cute thinking, oh, it's going to be cheaper in November than December, and some news article is going to come out about the films and that will pop. I think the old axiom is sort of true, which is buy on rumor, sell on news, so be careful with that. And then if you can, pick a moment at auction. Once you've set your sights on what your budget is and what you think the book is selling at, and be real mindful of immediately thinking, because someone states that something's selling at GPA or below GPA, it's just some sort of warehouse deal. It's outrageous. These books can and will go down in value, or they'll course correct, or they'll carve back a little bit. I think there's, in my estimation, feel free to disagree, that there's a little bit of an Avengers movie hangover, and all this material from the MCU is just kind of coming back just a little bit to earth slightly. See that with AF-15. If you look at Amazing Fantasy 15, first appearance of Spider-Man, which is the seminal classic Silver Age key. You look at the GPAnalysis data today, it's going to show you in lower grade up to about 4 or 5 prices coming down, right? In higher grade, it's a little harder to determine because it doesn't sell as often. So there's a little bit of this slight hangover in these books. I think that, as the contrarian in me, I think that's an opportunity to purchase if you're interested in any one of these books. Again, I think with this book selling for $8,500 in December, really curious about that sale. I'm not sure where it was. That's a hell of a deal. This book is not going down. I can't say anything is recession-proof. I really don't have a point of view on how broader markets will influence the value of these books. But at $10,000 in a 3.5, and if you go up to 5.0, it looks like there's a floor and a base, and there's support at 20 grand. Data points. All it is data points, but you got to have those. If you're spending good money on comic books, get an account, register, you have to pay for it. And I hope that's been helpful. Have a great 2020, and also subscribe if you can. to the channel here. Without subscribers, it's really hard for me to keep producing this content, right? It really motivates me to see folks subscribing and participating and leaving comments. So please do so. Have a good one.